Hello, lovely people. I'm Shaq and welcome. I'm running late today. I'm way behind, but I am set up and ready to show you the fireplace and to let you know that there is a downloadable free on the website that kind of gives you an overview of the measurements and stuff, and I'll show you what it looks like here in a minute. But yeah, let's just turn this camera around and get going. Here's the piece of paper that you can download and print either to 100% if you have a printer that will accommodate a larger sheet of paper than the standard 8.5 by 11. You'll get the measurements on here, but if you print it at 100%, it'll be the actual size of the fireplace, and I don't know how important that is to you, but we've got all the measurements that I used, and obviously you can change anything you want in building yours. This just gives you an idea of where I started. I did go ahead and put this decorative piece on here without any measurements because trim is up to you what you want to do, and this piece is not the only piece that I am going to end up putting on here. I wanted a light in the fireplace that could be used with a remote control, and when I went shopping for it, it was on the spendy end of things to get one that's specifically for that. Probably would have been easier to use though, so I recommend shopping, and if you can, like maybe Michael's will have them in a single and it'd be a lot cheaper. I could only find sets of 20 and they were like $40, so more than I wanted to spend for it. And so I had these candles, and they are, of course, the remote control goes to the candles, and I used a rotary tool to take the outside off, and you got to be really careful. These have a weatherproof plug in them. You want to maintain as much of this bottom section with your battery cover as possible, because that is how it works. If you lose your battery cover, you'll have to do something to replace it. And it'll have to involve, you know, a spring and a piece of metal to make sure your batteries work. And you want your on-off switch right here, which obviously mine's set to on because it's lighting up everything. This right here is your remote control receiver, and so you need that facing out of your fireplace and somewhat visible. I believe that it would work. Let's see, I'll see if it does. We'll confirm or deny that right now. I think it works with a piece of glassine over it. So this is just a piece of glassine paper, and I think that the control works. Yeah, it works through that. But you've got to be careful because it does not work through cardboard. If I stick a piece of cardboard over the top of it, well, that time it worked. So I guess it depends on coverage. Before I had a bigger piece of cardboard and it didn't work. So I suppose if it went out further, it wouldn't work. Just to be aware of that, test it. Test it for wherever it is and whatever is going to be covering it. Test it to make sure it continues to work. And that's if you buy the smaller ones, as well as, you know, removing this from the candle. Whichever way you go, if you want to use a remote control, you need to make sure that the receiver can see the remote. So let's begin by showing you this part here. So I want this to be visible, but I don't want the wire, which you've got to be gentle with this. It's supposed to be glued down, this part up here, but apparently it's not on one side, so I'm having to be very cautious of how I handle this. But I want the receiver here to be seen and not blocked by the black paper, because I actually don't know if the black paper will cause it to not work. So we're going to cut that hole in there and then wrap black paper around this and glue or tape it on the back side there. But make it to where, you know, we can still turn it on and off. And that way in the fireplace it becomes more invisible, because I think we're going to paint the interior black to to make things less the nuance-y in there, you know. So taking my advice from the last fireplace, I did not make a fire box to go around the box here. So the main part of the fireplace has 2 sides and the front of the fireplace. And I have a piece of cardstock here that I want to wrap around it, which will make all painting, future painting and decorating easier because it'll be a light color instead of the cardboard color. It also helps to hold it together. My last fireplace that I did with you guys had lines from where I used strips of paper to hold the pieces together at the corners and to cover up the cardboard, the corrugated part. And it showed up when I painted it, and it's okay and everything, but if you don't want that, this is a way of avoiding it. So I have cut a hole in both my cardstock and cardboard for the battery compartment, with it being oriented to go in and then show sticking out into the fireplace. So I've got my Mod Podge in here, and we're just gonna glue that up. We're gonna keep from getting my tie in it, right? Then I'm going to put down a strip of the Fast Grab tacky glue for where the sides will be attached here. So on the plans, this is the middle section of the fireplace. While I'm holding that in place, I'm going to go ahead and put the Mod Podge on the cardstock. Might have been better to stick it on the cardboard. I don't have to worry about it going over the edge and getting on the work surface. And it's time for those 1, 2, 3 blocks. Make sure that that stays square, right, while it sets up. Try and move this over a little bit. Get the other side. Well, that was a lot easier than the last time. We made a fireplace hollow. So we're going to set that aside, or try to. Oh dear, that moved. Okay, while that sets up, I cut out 3 layers for the mantle to get the thickness, and 4 layers for the hearth to get the thickness. And, you know, these do what you prefer there. I also have the hearth smaller than the mantle because that's just aesthetically what I wanted, but you can do what you would prefer there. They can be the same width. I've seen that a lot. So you could make your hearth longer. I do like the extra rise and thickness, but you could make them the same thickness. It will change the overall height, but that's okay. Not by that much. Then I pre-scored some cardstock and cut it to size to go over these so that we can glue those in place now. Same process, as long as I get the right one on the right piece of cardstock. I did not talk about materials needed for this, which, whoops, my bad, shouldn't have done that. I should have started with the materials list. Let's see, glazing paper for the fire, preferably a piece of clear plastic to hold that glazing paper in place, and corrugated cardboard, and white cardstock. Let's see, what else? Not really. Glue, Mod Podge or something similar. Black paper to cover your candle or light if it sticks out from behind your glazing fire. You'll remember last time ours did not, and so we didn't need to put black paper on it. It was just a single light right behind the glazing. And you could do that same thing again, where you go in through a hole in the back. But because I did not do the box within the box, like before I had a box within the fireplace, and then you could put your light behind that. So you could set up a box within the box again. I think maybe on this I might have folded a little bigger than the box, than the mantle. But I think it's going to work out okay. I'm just closing the ends here like you would in a cardboard box. Just putting the tabs in and my thought was that this would make it easier to put together. Just easier to decorate afterwards, easier to put together. You've got the same color base all the way around. Okay, so that's the mantle, and then do the same thing with the hearth. Okay, I've set the stuff aside to dry, and the piece of plastic for my fire, I did cut the one side that's going over the light shorter than the other side, so that we could get further into the fireplace with my fire. and still have like some wraparound on the one side. And we'll just, let's see, I've cut a variety of shapes here. And I think I got 3 different shades of color. Maybe 4. Yeah, we got 2 yellows here. So just want to start layering that in there. Again, I'm just using Mod Podge, just like before. Was that, I think that video was last year. Don't remember exactly. I'm trying to decide whether to let these stick too much above the plastic. So this was plastic packaging, I believe. This came out of a Cindy Doll package, and I think it's what was going over the face. Not 100% certain on that. But you just want something kind of rounded that you can work with. Whatever suits you. Also went with more stylized flames this time. Last time I just used kind of straight pieces of glassine and layered them in. So whatever, again, whatever suits. Picking these up is not the easiest.
So I thought here is that if you place it over the plastic, it'll stick in yarn. We can either turn away or leave it. With the Mod Podge on there, it will have certain rigidity to it that should make it okay to leave it in place. Wait, can you put it in? I think I poured out way more than that glue that I was going to need. I had no idea it curled up on me. Now we're well and truly in it. Stuck to me everything. Oh, I think your plans go like that. Okay. I think we can use that right there. And that. Obviously I didn't have to use everything. I actually have not. There's one piece I'm not going to use. Oh, wait, I got another spot I can use it. Just get full coverage all the way around.
I don't know about getting Mod Podge on the outside of plastic. I think that shows in a weird way, but now we'll leave that to set up. So we've got matchsticks here for making the grate. So we'll glue those together like a little ladder and then add some stubby little legs to the bottom of it. And then choose a color like black or silver or something like that to paint the whole thing. Here it is glued together. It's not exact proportions, but it will do. Especially if we paint it black, it doesn't show up that much. And then I've also cut some twigs for logs, and we'll charcoal those a little bit with some black paint. And I believe our main body here is ready to be glued to the hearth. And on this, I just wanted to make sure that the seam, okay, so this is the middle of the piece of cardstock, and this is the seam side, goes towards the back. And there. So put that down with the seam side on this side. And then we're going to center this on here. Make sure that these back edges are up against the back side of the hearth. And I didn't do anything to cover that inside edge. And I guess we'll see whether or not it actually is an issue, because there's going to be a decorative piece in front of it, so I don't think you'll actually see that. Okay, I think that's centered. This hole over here is complicating things. But I think we're centered and we're on. Now, if your cardstock is longer than your piece of corrugated, you might want to fold it over so that we can get a better attachment at the top. The bottom wasn't, but this has just got just the tiniest amount of overhang because I didn't want it to be too short. I didn't want a strip of corrugated showing. Okay. Now we're gonna reach for a paper towel because that's yuck. And we're gonna put the mantle on. So stick the glue up in here on both sides of that fold. Again, looking for the seam back here where I folded it over. Keep that to the back. And you could go by measurements, or you can eyeball it like I just did. So we're flush with the back, double checking that. And from the back side, it looks even, so I'm hoping from the front side it looks even as well. And I'm going to put a little bit of weight on that. Yeah, you could see it, but I couldn't. Just a little bit to let that set up for a second. I decided that it was probably better to stick this light pack in before this was completely set up, and I was right. It would have glued in and not let the battery pack go in. So now that it's in there, I have taken 3 layers of corrugated. It doesn't matter if they go all the way across or the same width as the battery pack, but not beyond it because it'll show to the inside, and this might have to be trimmed. But I have trimmed this to slide into the grooves of the base there so that I can get a good glue of the edge to make this more solid in here. I think I am going to cut that off as soon as I can figure out what I did with the knife. Just to make that battery pack a little more rigid in place, I guess. So where I've got this kind of carved out to go into the battery pack would be dependent upon what kind of battery pack you're dealing with. So I just kept putting it up against it, marking it and cutting away the area that the ring needed to go into. And I am going to also put some glue on the battery pack itself here, where I have wrapped the piece of black paper around it. I glued it in place, but I also put a piece of tape to hold it while it's set up. And the tape is notorious for springing off, so I didn't want to do just tape. And now to squish it, make sure that it's glued up against the edge and the battery pack and all, to hold it all a little more rigid in the back. And as soon as this is set up, I will flip it over so you can get a better look at it. Here's what that battery pack is looking like in there. So this is the piece I showed you as I put it in. And I decided to take 3 more layers of corrugated and put them on the other side so that we've got it pretty much sandwiched between to help hold it steady in there. And this is what the front is looking like. You can see the little light there. This is going to go on the back, and I've painted it, and it's not quite dry. So while that continues to dry, let's decorate the front of our fireplace. And I have pre-cut some pieces and prepped some paper clay stuff that needs to be painted before we put it on here if we're going to have it some color other than white. So I'm planning on keeping this white, which is part of the reason why I wanted the white cardstock base, is that everything will look a little bit better with that. And I'm trying to decide which side of this piece of trim to put up, because we've got damage kind of over there and we've got damage here. I don't know. I think it maybe that way would be better. So we're going to glue that piece in place around the fireplace, and that is kind of disguises the corrugated, maybe not entirely, but I don't know, maybe we should wrap that. I think I will. So I pre-folded these pieces so that they'd be easier to curve around the edge, and we're going to just put some glue on there, some Mod Podge. Stick that up on the underside. And of course you could turn it around if you need to. Try not to get too much glue. It does affect the way the paint applies. And I made sure that the part on this side would be covered completely by the trim. When I say this side, I mean the outside. Okay, that's pretty much the same inside and out. Probably will have to flip it over. Guess this is where my crease is a little bit in the wrong spot, so it didn't. So it's flipping, it's trying to return to flat. Maybe some fast grab would have helped instead of using Mod Podge. Don't have a lot of work space. And my glue isn't completely set up, so I'm trying to be really gentle with this. All right, now let's get the other side. We get that all, well, hopefully when we get the trim on, it'll take care of it. And I suppose you could glue the one side, let it set up, and then glue the other side. That would be a way of dealing with it. I'm like, don't get glue on the outside where you don't want it. And then I just got glue on the outside where I don't want it. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, ready for the other type of glue. I think my cardstock moved on me. But yeah. Even. This piece was cut out more square in the opening than the cardboard underneath the corrugated. All right, we got that piece in place. I think I am going to keep my little trim pieces white. I've toyed with the idea of making them a different color, but I think I'm going to go with white. So I have 4 pieces that go in the corners like that. So we'll get those glued in next. And this is the part where you can just get creative and do whatever you want on the front of your fireplace. I haven't tested my light. I probably should now that it's in there. Hey, no problems. I'm also kind of afraid as I handle it that I'm gonna knock one of the wires loose or something. Okay. Now we have 2 of these, and they go like that. We have to glue those in place. And I don't think I'm going to get to the white paint before the end of this video because I want all the glue set up before I apply paint. And I am just, like I said, got a late start, so everything's running late. So I'll have to just share with you the finished bit next week. There we go. We've got our 2 trim pieces that are made out of the paper clay using the mold. And then we have this fun one, and we're gonna go this way. I'm gonna stick that right there. So I'm lining it up with that point, pulling it up to where I want it, and then hoping it doesn't slide too much. Oh my goodness, always with the sliding. I think we're okay. Okay, one more detail. And I don't have these cut to the right length because I wasn't sure what it was going to be. I couldn't get things to stay in place.
I think we're going to get that with scissors, so hopefully that's the right place. Nope. Alright, what did you do, Cottage? My mark didn't show. Maybe it will this time. Okay, that's better.
So I want to put 3 of these on each side. They end up working kind of like stripes, textural stripes.
I'm going to use this one to cut the rest. We'll gamble here. Okay, that's almost done. And these ready. So, trying to get each side to match is going to be the challenge for this one. I planned to come up with something for a spacer and then forgot. And I don't think I can use the pieces themselves. Let's see, that would be 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to see if I can. Space. No, doesn't work. Have to be closer together than that. So right now I'm just trying to match to the other side. What about using just the same width? Pretty close, so that won't work. Matchstick, maybe that would have worked. The space is less than a matchstick, but I wonder if it would have worked as far as the space allotted. Maybe, if I'd started with it, like stuck a matchstick over here, put the first one in, it might have worked out. If you do the math, figure it out. Or lay it out with the matchsticks before you start gluing. Okay, not bad.
Okay, there we are. And this will get a coat of white paint to cover up make all of the white the same color white. And we've got our light installed in back, and we'll put on a black back. But before we do that, let's check and see how our glue is doing on the logs. And the rack here. Well, other than being stuck to the paper, I think this is ready for paint, so we can paint that. And yeah, that looks like we can do a little painting on that too. So I'm going with black.
Get the water on the brush. If you ever work directly out of the tube, I gotta say, it's not the best idea, but you're not mixing colors or anything like that, it works. Hopefully this is dry enough that it doesn't fall apart on me. I would recommend waiting, you know, 8 hours or 4 hours or something, you know, at least. And we didn't do that today. I think this might have an hour to dry. So I tried to hit all the sides. I want to share my train engine. I have to wait till like April to get a controller for the train, but I want to start working on the table and the pulleys and stuff, and share that bit while I decide how I'm going to go about the library. Because yeah, we still haven't decided exactly how we want to go about the library. Most of it? No? So this is acrylic paint. I don't know if you can see the label, probably not. Huge debate with myself about glues and paints.
Okay, now we want to put a bit of blackened I kind of think that's enough. And that's ready to go as soon as it's dry. This past week has been long and has had a lot of horrific things happen. And personally, on a personal level, it's been made very clear to me that one of my friends online is a Trump supporter, and she may be watching right now. It is upsetting that someone would support an individual who is such an obvious criminal. And there's no convincing them of their beliefs are their beliefs for the reasons that they're for their reasons, and you can't really convert them. They have to get there on their own. And there's a lot of advice floating around that I don't agree with, to cut people off because they support Trump, and I think that's harsh. They got where they are for reasons of their own, and even if they're misguided reasons, even if I think they're misguided reasons, they're their reasons. And while the international community has a warrant out for him, basically, which to me is a darn good indication that he's doing something wrong, this has not convinced them yet. The Gestapo of ICE hasn't convinced them yet. They just keep seeing the justifications, And I guess I would encourage them to look outside the United States for news sources and to look at what is actually coming out of Trump's mouth, to pay attention to the words, the things that he posts on his Truth Social. I personally can't take much of it. It's so disgusting. But pay attention to it. If you want to support and believe in this person, you really need to do your research and examine everything they're saying and doing, and look at it with an open mind. And that's all I can say. I don't want to be a downer on this. It's upsetting. As you might guess, this person has been very, very supportive of me. They've been a wonderful friend, and I just feel bad about that that situation. I hope that everybody is having a better time of it, and that we enjoying creating. We're finding happiness in that creative process. I guess I didn't realize how long that fireplace took me the first time. I must have done it in 2 videos or something over the course of the week, and combined all those videos together into one. I don't know which I did, but the paint drying and the glue drying, I can't go any further, and I've got to wait. So I apologize for that, not having the foresight to make the time to be able to get it all together, and trying to do it all in one sitting. I'm kind of worn out trying to get it all done and not succeeding, but I'm close. It's very close, and I don't think there's really any details that I'm going to do next that you actually need to see me do, because really it's gluing the plastic to the wood, to and securing it in place. However, last time I think I just used glue. I'm gonna go look a little closer and see if I used 2-part epoxy, and then I can just cut straight to that, and I'll let you know if I did. But other than that, I think it was just done with tacky glue and put together, and I'll get it painted and so that you can see it in my spare time, because I am back to doing the clay stuff, and I've got my experiments going and trying to see about getting the bell to ring, and I got handed another assignment to make gnomes that can hang on the side of our mugs, and our mugs are kind of sloped at the outer edge. Anyway, it's a bit of a challenge, so I've got that to do. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you have a delightful day and a wonderful week, no matter who you are or what you believe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.